Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are not talking about anything mystical, no superstitions, no vague spiritual concepts. No woo, we are going to talk about something that is very real, very practical, and honestly, could save your life or the life of someone you love. These are everyday ideas that most of us overlook, but they matter more than we realize. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt a little twinge in your chest or had a headache that wouldn't go away? And your mind immediately went to the worst possible place. You start thinking, did I do something wrong? Is this payback for something I did years ago? Maybe you find yourself Googling symptoms at 2 in the morning, or you start wondering if you should see a specialist or a spiritual advisor or both, or maybe, and this is the one that really worries me. You go to your doctor and you hand over all your power to a bunch of machines and printouts, letting one single number on a screen tell you how healthy you are, or worse, how much time you have left. I want to say this as clearly and as kindly as I can. As a doctor who has sat across from thousands of patients over the last decade, there is something in this world far scarier than bad luck. Bad karma, or even a run of really tough breaks. Bad luck might make you spill your morning coffee, or get a flat tire, or have a rough week at work. But this other thing, it can tear families apart. It can take a successful, wealthy, accomplished person and leave them in agony, fear, and regret at the end of their life. And what is that thing? Two words together: ignorance and fear. When you let ignorance and fear make your health decisions, it's like signing a contract with no escape clause. It's a trap, and once you're in, it is incredibly hard to get out. Let me tell you a true story. This is a real case from a few years ago. To protect privacy, let's just call him Mr. Chen. He was in his early 60s, a very successful business owner, and genuinely a good person. He donated to local schools, supported community programs, always had a warm smile, and was well respected in his industry. If you looked at him, you'd think that guy has it all. He's going to live to be 100, but Mr. Chen had one major weakness. He was absolutely terrified of dying, not of ghosts or spirits, but of experts in white coats. He believed that because he had money, he should use the most advanced, most cutting-edge technology to maintain his body, the way you'd take a luxury car to the best mechanic. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars every year traveling overseas for the most comprehensive full-body scans you can imagine, PET scans, MRIs, every possible blood test, and he never skipped a single one. One year, he came back from one of these overseas checkups with a thick report, looking pale as a ghost, his hands visibly shaking. I asked him, "Mr. Chen, what's going on? A stock market crash wouldn't make you look this bad." He told me, voice trembling, "I'm done for." The doctor over there said one of my tumor markers is slightly elevated. They suspect it might be an early sign of cancer, and they said my carotid artery wall is a little thicker than normal. They told me I could have a stroke at any moment, maybe even drop dead without warning. I took that report, read it carefully, and honestly, I had to hold back a sigh. I told him, "Mr. Chen, look at yourself right now. You're eating well, you're sleeping through the night, your energy is good, you're not in pain, you don't have a disease, you have a stack of paper. These numbers are just reference points. They're like the dashboard warning lights in your car. Sometimes they flicker. But that doesn't mean your engine is about to explode. It might just mean you hit a pothole or the sensor is sensitive." But he couldn't hear me. Why? Because that one authority in a white coat had told him that if he didn't act immediately, it would become terminal. No second chances, no room for discussion. That is the fear I'm talking about. Using the worst case scenario to paralyze you, to make you unable to think clearly. Mr. Chen went home and started his so-called fight against a disease he didn't even have. He began taking preventive medications for conditions that weren't confirmed. He agreed to surgeries to remove tissues that were probably completely harmless. He started swallowing a whole handful of chemical pills every single day, some to control his blood pressure, some to regulate his blood sugar, some to prevent spread, as if more pills meant more safety. 6 months, that's all it took. Just 6 months, the vibrant, loud-voiced, confident man I knew was gone. He had lost over 40 pounds. His hair had turned completely white. He came to see me in a wheelchair, and this time, he wasn't afraid of dying anymore. He was just waiting for it. His eyes had no light left. His kidneys had failed from processing all those heavy-duty medications over such a short time. He needed dialysis every other day. He had no quality of life. He couldn't keep food down. He'd take one bite and throw up. His body simply couldn't absorb nutrition anymore. He looked at me with tears streaming down his face and asked, "I've never done anything bad to anyone. Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Is this karma? Is this punishment?" And I have to be honest with you, my heart broke for him, but I was also angry at the system that scared him, and angry at the fear that drove him. I told him straight, Mr. Chen, this isn't karma. This isn't the universe punishing you. This is what happens when you take a perfectly functioning, self-regulating, amazing biological system, your body, and you go looking for tiny imperfections with a microscope. Then you bring in a whole chemical army to attack those imperfections. You didn't fight a disease. You opened the front gates and let the enemy march right in. You broke your own body down. He passed away not long after, not from cancer, from multiple organ failure, and he suffered immensely. Do you see what I'm getting at? What is scarier than bad luck or bad karma is being ignorant about how your own body actually works and being absolutely terrified of a medical name. That fear puts extra strain on your heart. It crashes your immune system. It clouds your judgment. It pushes you to make decisions that end up hurting you far more than the original issue ever could. Now, some of you might be thinking, Doc, that doesn't sound very scientific. Those scans and lab tests are based on big data and advanced technology. How could they be wrong? Okay, fair question. Let's talk science. Then let's look at why I believe that blindly trusting a number on a lab report without understanding the bigger picture can be more dangerous than any superstition. Here is the single most important concept I want you to take away today. Your body is not a machine. It is not a car, not a computer, not a factory assembly line. It is a living, breathing, self-regulating ecosystem, a tiny universe that constantly adapts, repairs, balances, and communicates with itself. Now, modern Western medicine in many ways thinks in terms of combat, high blood pressure, attack it with a drug to force it down, high blood sugar, use medication to wipe it out, bacteria, kill it with antibiotics. But that approach is like putting duct tape over your smoke alarm because the beeping annoys you, the noise stops, right? But did you fix the fire? Absolutely not. It's the same with a crying baby. If you just put a pacifier in their mouth to shut them up, you might get quiet, but you haven't figured out why they're crying. Are they hungry? Are they wet? Are they scared? Are they in pain? If you ignore the reason, you're just masking the symptom and the real problem gets worse. Traditional approaches to health, what we might call integrative or functional medicine, look at the body differently. They look at the whole system like physics or ecology. Let's take high blood pressure, which is a major concern for many of us over 40 or 50. You go to your doctor's office, they check your blood pressure and it's 160 over 95. The doctor says, danger, this is hypertension, you need medication right away or you're at high risk for a stroke. But let me ask you this, why is your blood pressure high? Let's use a simple everyday analogy. Imagine you have a garden hose and you're trying to water a rose bush at the far end of your yard. If that hose gets partially clogged with dirt and debris, or if it's a freezing cold day and the rubber stiffens and shrinks, the water won't reach the plant. So what happens? The water pressure at the faucet goes up. Your heart, which is your faucet, has to pump harder. Now your body is smart. It senses that your hands and feet aren't getting enough warm blood. So it sends a signal, more pressure, please. Your heart pumps faster and stronger. Your blood pressure goes up. And guess what? Now your hands and feet are warm again. Your brain is getting oxygen. You feel clear-headed and functional. Your body just saved itself. Then you take a blood pressure pill. What does that pill actually do? In many cases, it either weakens the pumping force of your heart or it forcibly widens your blood vessels to drop the pressure artificially. It stops your body from doing what it was trying to do, which was to deliver blood to where it was needed. Now, your monitor shows 120 over 80. Perfect. Your doctor is happy. The guidelines are met, but your extremities are cold again, your brain feels foggy, your hands and feet tingle. Over time, your blood vessels, starved of nourishment, become brittle. Your kidneys not getting enough blood flow start to shrink and lose function. And you might even notice memory issues or sexual health problems. Is that really science? Or is that treating a number while ignoring what your body is actually telling you? A better, more comprehensive approach would be to ask, why are your pipes clogged? Is it because your body is too cold internally? Is it because of chronic stress? Is it your diet? Is it lack of movement? If you're too cold, we work on gently warming you through diet, through lifestyle, sometimes through carefully chosen botanicals that have decades of clinical use to restore natural warmth. If there's excess fluid or dampness, we help your body eliminate it. When your vessels are open, warm, and flexible. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard, your blood pressure comes down naturally. That is treating the root cause, not just covering up a number on a chart. So please don't become a slave to the numbers. Don't let a single lab value dictate your mood for the whole day. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is grab your blood pressure cuff with a racing heart, dreading the result, that's not health. That's anxiety disguised as health management, and that anxiety over time will do far more damage than a slightly elevated reading ever could. Let me share another story, a lighter one, but equally powerful, especially for anyone who has a family member who tends to worry or has been told they're imagining things. I had a patient in her mid 50s, let's call her Linda. She was a lovely woman and her family was very supportive, but they literally had to bring her into my office because she was convinced something supernatural was going on in her home. She told me she couldn't sleep at night because she would hear buzzing in her ears like bees or like people whispering just out of earshot. She felt a crushing weight on her chest, her heart would race, and she was absolutely certain she was about to die. She had already been to the emergency room. She had seen a cardiologist and a neurologist. All the scans and tests came back normal. Her doctor told her it was probably menopause-related anxiety and prescribed an antidepressant, but instead of getting better, she got worse. She started seeing shadows out of the corner of her eye during the day. She felt like someone was following her. She spent thousands of dollars on spiritual cleansings, on rituals, on consultations with various advisors. Nothing helped. The presence was still there. I asked her to stick out her tongue. Now, in my training, we look at a lot of things, and one of them is the tongue. Hers was swollen, pale, with teeth marks on the sides. A very classic sign that the body wasn't handling fluids properly. Her pulse was weak and deep, indicating low energy. I said, Linda, I don't think you have a ghost. I think you have what we call in integrative medicine a case of water invading the heart. She looked completely confused. Water? What water? So I asked her, do you drink a lot of ice cold drinks? Do you keep your air conditioning very high? Do you sweat much or do you avoid sweating? She nodded emphatically. She told me she loved iced coffee, iced tea, and kept her house at a crisp 68 degrees year round because she hated feeling hot. She didn't like to exercise because it made her sweaty and uncomfortable, and I said, that's exactly the issue. Your body is meant to be warm. Your heart is like a small furnace. But you're pouring cold drinks into that furnace all day, and you're living in a refrigerated environment. Your body, trying to protect its core, closes down your pores. That means you don't sweat out excess fluid. That fluid stays inside, becomes cold and stagnant, and it pools around your diaphragm. When you lie down, that cold fluid pushes upward, pressing against your heart. Your heart starts racing because it's being crowded. That fluid also affects your inner ear, causing the buzzing, and it can cloud your senses, making you see shadows or feel like something is there. The ghost isn't in your house. Linda, the ghost is in your water glass. We came up with a simple plan. I recommended some very well-studied botanical combinations. Things like poria, cinnamon twig, atractylodes, and licorice, which have been used safely for centuries to help the body drain excess fluid and warm the core. She took that for a few days. Day 1, she felt lighter. Day 3, she called me, almost laughing, and said, the ghost is gone. I slept through the night for the first time in months. No buzzing, no chest pressure, no shadows. She felt like a new person. Do you see how powerful this is? If you don't understand how your body works, you can literally scare yourself into believing you're cursed or haunted. You can spend a fortune and suffer needlessly, all because you went against your body's basic biological needs. You didn't sweat when you should have. You didn't stay warm when you needed to. You built up a house of cold and damp inside your own body. Isn't that a far more tragic story than any superstition now? I want to address a specific group of you today. The folks between, say, 40 and 70, the sandwich generation. You're taking care of your kids, you're helping your aging parents, you're working, you're managing a household. You're the decision makers, and many of you are making health decisions, not just for yourselves, but for the people you love most. And this is where I see one of the most heartbreaking patterns, something I call well-meaning harm. It looks like love, it feels like care, but it ends up causing enormous damage. Let me give you an example. I had a patient, an 80-year-old man, one of the healthiest seniors I'd ever met. He was active, did Tai Chi in the park every morning, had a strong voice, a great sense of humor, and an excellent appetite. He could finish a whole plate of pot roast and vegetables and ask for seconds. His son, a successful professional, was incredibly devoted. He loved his father deeply and wanted to make sure he lived as long as possible. So the son started buying the most expensive vitamins, fish oil capsules, calcium supplements, and immune boosters he could find. He had his father take them 3 times a day, like clockwork. He also scheduled comprehensive blood work every 3 months, tracking every single biomarker. His goal, prevent any problem before it started. But what happened? The father, who had always had a robust stomach, started having indigestion. His appetite declined, he felt bloated and uncomfortable. The son got worried and bought high-protein meal replacement shakes and forced his father to drink them. Then the blood work came back, and the father's LDL cholesterol was slightly elevated, not dangerously high, just a little above the optimal range. The son immediately asked the primary care doctor to prescribe the strongest statin medication available because he wanted that number driven down to textbook perfect. Now, let me pause here and ask you, what do you think cholesterol does in your body? It's not just bad stuff. From a functional perspective, cholesterol is a building block for cell membranes. It's a precursor to certain hormones, and it's part of your body's repair mechanism for an older adult. A slightly higher level may simply mean the body still has resilience and vitality. It still has the materials to fight off challenges. When you push that number down aggressively with medication, you're not just lowering a number, you're potentially interfering with your brain's function because your brain needs cholesterol to maintain healthy nerve connections. Multiple large-scale studies have shown a link between very low cholesterol levels and increased risk of cognitive decline, memory loss, and even depression in seniors. Within 2 years, that vibrant, laughing, independent man was gone. He was in a wheelchair. Unable to recognize his own son, he had severe dementia. His liver had been strained by the medications, causing jaundice and itching. He couldn't sleep, couldn't communicate, couldn't enjoy his meals. The son sat in my office sobbing and asked me. I gave him the best. I spent so much money. I did everything right. Why did this happen to my dad? And I told him something very difficult but very true. You loved your father, no question, but you treated him like a car engine with a warning light, and you tried to fix every little number without ever asking how he actually felt. You took away the foods he loved. You overwhelmed his digestive system with synthetic pills. You filled his life with fear about numbers that probably didn't matter. You didn't mean to hurt him, but the result was devastating. That is what I mean. When I say that well-intentioned ignorance can be 100 times more harmful than any curse. You push the person you love most toward decline, all while believing you're being a hero. So if we shouldn't let ignorance and fear drive our health decisions, what should we do? What actually works? Let me give you some practical, evidence-based, time-tested principles that I share with all my patients. Number 1, learn to trust your body's signals, not just the numbers. Your body is more sophisticated than any diagnostic machine. It constantly communicates with you. Pay attention to these 5 basic signs. Are your hands and feet generally warm? Is your head and face cool and comfortable? Do you have a good appetite? Are your bowel movements regular and healthy? Can you sleep through the night without waking up in panic? If you can honestly answer yes to those 5 and your lab report shows a few slightly out of range numbers, don't panic. Don't let one red mark on a sheet of paper steal your peace. Fear and chronic stress are often more dangerous to your long-term health than a borderline lab value. Number 2, protect your core warmth and vitality. In functional medicine, we talk about vital energy, or what some traditions call yang. Your body's heat, your metabolism, your immune resilience. Why are we seeing so many chronic illnesses these days? One overlooked factor is that many of us have become too cold internally. We drink iced beverages year-round. We blast air conditioning even in mild weather. We eat salads and raw foods even in winter. All of these habits gradually chill your internal environment, making it easier for imbalances to take hold. Think about this. Have you ever heard of someone getting cancer in their heart? Almost never. Why? Because the heart is the warmest, most active organ in the body. It generates heat constantly. Keep your core warm. Drink warm or room temperature fluids, wear socks to bed, use a light blanket. Small changes can make a big difference over time. Number 3, be thoughtful about excessive or unnecessary testing and procedures. I am not saying you should avoid your doctor. I am saying don't go hunting for problems when you feel perfectly well. Let me give you an analogy. A biopsy is like taking a perfectly good orange and poking a needle into it to see if there's any rot inside. By poking it, you might introduce bacteria, or you might cause the juice to leak out, or you might disturb something that was stable, many small nodules, cysts. Or polyps are harmless and will remain harmless for your entire life. If they aren't causing symptoms, if they aren't growing rapidly, often the wisest approach is to monitor them gently and focus on improving your overall health. Your diet, your stress levels, your sleep, your movement. When your body's internal environment is strong and balanced, many of these small issues will either disappear or simply never bother you. This isn't neglect. It's wisdom. Number 4, nourish your mind and emotions as much as your body. When I say heart, I mean your spirit, your outlook, your emotional state. Don't spend your days worrying, calculating, fearing, or holding grudges. Chronic anxiety and anger are toxic to your body. I've seen many patients over the years, and one thing I can tell you for sure, a happy, relaxed, optimistic person almost always outlives a stressed out, fearful, perfectionistic one. Why? Because joy literally helps your body function better. When you laugh, your diaphragm moves up and down, gently massaging your internal organs and improving circulation. That's better than any supplement you could buy, and it has zero side effects. Let me wrap this up by tying it all together. Why is ignorance and fear more dangerous than bad luck or bad karma? Because bad luck can be turned around, you can change your circumstances, you can make amends, you can adapt, but ignorance about your own body and the fear that comes with it can lead you down a path of irreversible decisions. When you believe that you can control every biological process with a pill or that cutting out an organ will cut out a disease, you are fighting against nature itself, and nature tends to have the final word. We see so many new diseases, resistant bacteria, and unexpected deaths in young people these days. And often it's not because the germs got stronger. It's because we as a society have weakened our own defenses. We've disrupted our natural balance. We've confused fear with caution and intervention with care. I know some of what I've said today might sound different from what you normally hear. It might challenge some things you've been told, but my goal here is not to be controversial. It's to help you see that you have more power over your health than you think. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to become a victim of every new screening or every slightly abnormal lab value. You can learn to listen to your body, to respect its wisdom, and to make decisions based on calm understanding rather than panic. Let me leave you with a simple daily checklist. Something to keep in mind every single day. First, keep your hands and feet comfortably warm and your head cool. That's a sign of good circulation and balanced energy. Second, maintain a good appetite and sleep soundly. Those are signs that your body has the resources it needs. Third, use lab results as a reference, not as a verdict. Your own physical experience matters more than any single number. Fourth, don't let a diagnosis name scare you into making rushed decisions. A calm mind leads to clearer choices. Fifth, avoid unnecessary medications when lifestyle changes can do the job. Protect your body's natural strength. It's your best defense. Start small. Today, drink something warm instead of iced. Take a few deep breaths before you check your email. Go for a short walk. Eat a meal without distraction. Your body will thank you not tomorrow, but in the weeks and months ahead. We'll talk more in the next video. And remember, health is not about being perfect. It's about being aware, being kind to yourself, and making choices that support your whole self. Body, mind, and spirit. If you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.